Here we come.
Now the world don't move.
And you knew where you were then.
Exciting and new.
Good time.
Anytime you need a payment.
You take a good, you take a bad, you take them all, and there you have the facts of life.
It's TV Talkaholics in your ear holes every month. Thank you for downloading and pressing play. This month it is May of 2024, and we are going to be discussing a TV movie called Like Normal People, which had an original air date of April 13th, 1979. Now, before I introduce my co-host this month, I want to give a special shout out to Brian F., who Venmo'd me a little present back in March. Thank you, Brian. Brian's one of the original Tutti Fruities back when I first started the Patreon, and he is still a sponsor of the show and also occasionally sends me little extra gifts here and there. So, Brian, you are the sweetest. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to have you as an original member of the family. Now, this month, sadly, Matthew is not here. He's in jail. I mean, he's on vacation. So we have an equally competent replacement here from my very own household and former guest of Let's Face the Facts, the wonderful Justin Schneier.
Hello. Hello, David. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be your last choice. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, you live with me, so it
This
was
is true.
literally like I turned and went, what the fuck? How the fuck am I going to record a... Oh, that guy, he could do this.
I've only lived here for years.
Yeah.
You know, and it's only been years since you've had me on any podcast. I think the last time was pre-pandemic.
No, I've
I'm
had you
pretty
on
sure
since the pandemic. Child.
I would disagree. I believe it was post 9/11, pre-pandemic was the last time that I was on this show.
Let's do this right now because my records indicate differently. The last time you were here was in December of 2020.
Yes, that would be pandemic.
That's not pre-pandemic, dear.
No, it
So-
is post 9/11 though. I was half right.
You were half right.
I was half right.
And you were already living here. You've lived here over 4 years now. Isn't
This
that
is true.
crazy?
I've received a degree in, well, I don't know. I'm not
In putting up with David's
Yeah,
shit?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Let's edit that out.
Let's do that, yeah. But this is perfect opportunity. The last time you were here, which was December of 2020,
2020.
was season 6, episodes 6 and 7 of The Facts of Life. Remember, I made you do a two-parter. It was called Taking a Chance on Love, when Jo was starting a relationship with her college professor.
Yes, I vaguely remember this.
And he had a kid, and the kid was played by Matt Shackman, who would go on to produce and direct Always Sunny in Philadelphia and all of WandaVision for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I vaguely remember that this did occur.
Previous to that, you were here for season 4, episode 15, called Teacher's Pet. And that was the one where Jo was having a friendship with her female teacher, and they were like going out and doing things socially.
Oh, I remember that.
And people were
Yes.
raising their eyebrows, and everyone was like, what's so weird about that? And you and I are watching it from the future going, everything is wrong about that.
It was highly lesbianic.
Yeah, truly. So, we've got that. But the first appearance, I'll bet you have very fond memories. Do you remember the first time you were here?
The first time? Yes, it was related to this movie. That's what I remember.
Yes, it was season 4.
In theme and tone.
In exactly. It was season 4, episode 5, called Different Drummer, where Blair was dating a boy with special needs. A boy who was mentally challenged.
I did want to ask you, what is your comfortable terminology for this podcast?
I would prefer we not use the word retarded.
I understand. That's why I'm asking you this question
Yeah.
right now, because you know my feelings. But I want to make sure that I respect my host.
I think for the sake of, I've been doing this so long and I've not been successful. Let's not cancel me now.
Okay.
But here's the deal. In this, I'm telling this from a clinical point of view is, in that episode, they used the word retarded a lot to describe
Probably a baker's dozen.
easily. And so it's kind of funny because you recently brought to my attention a Louis C.K. routine.
I did. Yes, I did.
And I didn't know Louis C.K. specifically during a unit on the word, the R word, he goes into this thing with this movie. And normally, Justin, I would put my guest on the spot and say, I want you to synopsize this movie. I'm not sure either of us could do it as well as Louis C.K. does.
Okay.
How would you feel about me allowing Mr. C.K. to do that?
I feel that it's happening.
Okay. But if you...
Yes, I think it's a great idea. Go for
Okay.
it. Go for it.
Okay, here we go. And trigger warning, he is going to be using the R word a lot.
We were using the word and they were more in our lives. I swear to God they were more. They were in our culture. There was TV movies about retarded people all the time. Tonight on ABC, a retarded boy's dream. There was one, I remember with Sean Cassidy. I don't know if you remember Sean Cassidy. Some of you too young. But Sean Cassidy, he began his career as a teen pop idol. He was a 13-year-old boy with a very hit song called Da Do Run Run. And he had feathered blonde hair and juicy lips. And he was on the cover of Teen Beat magazine. And everybody liked Sean Cassidy because he was sexy. So Sean Cassidy was a teen singer who then grew up. He was about 18. Now he was, old and gross. Nobody wanted to fuck him. So he started to act. And he had a movie on TV called Normal People, where he played a retarded man who wants to live a normal life. It was very inspiring, actually. And at one point, he didn't do like a big retarded character. He wore thick glasses. He talked like Elmer Fudd. That was the whole thing. So he goes up to the guy who runs the group home he lives in, and he says, I want to get a job. And the guys who runs it is like, Republican conservative. So he's like, you can't get a job. You're retarded, And, But then there's a liberal lady who works there, and she says, of course he can get a job. He's as good as anyone. So they let him get a job as an air traffic controller, whatever was available. And then he meets a woman who's also retarded who lives at the group home. He falls in love with her. It's a very nice love story. And he says, we want to get married. And the guy says, she says, but they're in love. So they get married. And then one day he says, we want to have a baby. And the liberal lady says, no fucking way. And they just shut them down right there. And that's the end of the movie. I swear to God, that's just how it ends. And the point of the movie is just, hey, there's a limit. Like, that's, I guess, what the point of it was. And that's pretty intense. But hey, retarded people were on television. We were talking about it. We were dealing with it. And they said the word retarded about 50,000 times in the movie. Now we don't say the word, and I don't see them anywhere. I guess that's my problem with it. And also, the word is not basically a bad word. It's a medical term. But it became a bad word because it's used as an insult, really.
So there you have it.
He makes a lot of license for comedy. The plot isn't quite that.
Yeah,
but...
it's not quite, but it's also kind of accurate too, in a weird way. So let's talk about the movie, and we will refrain from using the R word because it is used, I believe, on the IMDb page. It says it's used 35 times over the course of a 90-minute movie. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot. But anyhow, so it is the story of a young, mentally challenged man who basically wants a better life for himself and hits these obstacles. Now, there isn't a mean dude in charge of the group home and a nice lady. In fact, the nice lady advocating for him is his mother. And the mean dude is the guy who is the boss of the dude who works at the group home. The guy at the group home is actually very nice and extremely supportive. He's like a social worker.
Chip Zien clone.
Yeah, you think he looks like Chip Zien? Yes.
A lot.
Yeah, he
A
looks
lot
like
he does.
I think he looks like Peter Bonaires.
I can't say the R word, but you can say bonairs on.
Yes.
You can say boners. Okay,
Yes, I
great.
can. Yeah, that's his name, Bonerz. He played the dentist on the Bob Newhart show, which I know you have never seen.
That is not true. I have seen many episodes.
The Bob Newhart show or Newhart?
The Bob Newhart Show.
I take back what I just said. I didn't imagine you would have
How
seen it.
dare you? No, I not when it aired. I was dead at the time.
I know you were, but anywhoozle. So, yeah, the thing with let's get right to it here, because the movie doesn't end with them saying, no, you can't have children, and shutting them down. That's not how the movie ends.
No.
In fact, one of the things in the movie is
It ends with one of the best moments of the whole movie.
it is so nice.
It's really
But the plot line of Sean Cassidy playing this young man who wants more, and he wants a job, and he's able to get a job and even gets it on his own. And then he wants to live away from home, and then he gets a girlfriend, and they want to get married, and he pushes for this, and it is a struggle, but he does it, and he perseveres. Now, I was a little confused by the having kids thing. At the beginning, he says, I want to have kids. I want to have a lot of kids. And she is like, yeah, okay. But then the adults in their lives start saying to them, you know that it's very challenging. And you know that with what you are dealing with in your shortcomings mentally, that could be a problem in trying to raise a baby. And it basically puts the doubts in her. So she starts saying to him, maybe this isn't a good idea. And then we get this weird scene where he's sitting in the living room. She comes in the door and he says, did you see the doctor, or did you talk to the doctor? And she says to him, no babies for us, Roger. And then she gives him a stuffed bunny rabbit, and he's kind of like, oh, that's cute. I think he called her Bunny. Like, that was his nickname for her. So he's like, now I have 2 bunnies. So it's kind of like this tender moment. So I'm thinking, oh, so did she go to the doctor and have him tell her that she's not able to have children? But the next thing she says is, we did the right thing, Roger, and I know we're going to be happy.
Can you not get your tubes tied in the 70s?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Is
Could that not
what,
have been a huge... I would assume that might be what happened.
that she went and
If-
earlier
if-
they
I mean, I think that we're taking a huge jump by talking about this scene right now, but if we're going to get into this, I would say that is showing that they have the power to make their own choice. And she made a choice, and
Yeah.
there you are.
yeah.
Going with really this movie, I was deeply disappointed by how good it was.
Yeah.
And how there's not much to make fun of. There's no irony. It's just a very, very heartfelt and actually genuine film.
It is. We kind of thought that we would be able to watch it and then sit here and completely harp on it for how unrealistically it portrays
It's excellent.
everything. It's really well done. And part of that is because it is based on a true story, and it's based on a book written by the brother of Roger, who is the mentally challenged man who is played by Sean Cassidy. And the brother was a writer, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. So, yeah, we did jump around there. That was in the name of me clarifying with you that you saw what I saw and you inferred the same thing. So she, earlier, again, the adults were like, well, they can get married, but they can't have kids. And someone says, I think the social worker says, so what do you want to do? Take them down to the pound and have them neutered? Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
So, that is brought up. So with this, it's okay, but it's her just walking in the door. Now, I know having your tubes tied is not that big a deal surgically, and I'm speaking as a man who knows absolutely nothing.
Well, in Scouts, they taught us to use a square knot.
They just But yeah, a tubal ligation, I believe, is the medical term. I just wondered, part of me was like, she just walks in the door like nothing, like she hadn't been through anything. I guess it's kind of like a trip to the doctor where they take sutures and close up the fallopian tubes so that no eggs can come down from the ovaries. So I guess that's...
I mean, the tube side is just one possibility. I don't know for certain that that's what it was. It also could have been that they had... Well, I guess they were going to wait until marriage for that.
Yeah, well, they were waiting for marriage.
Yeah, I'm
to
going to
have
say
sex.
tubes tied.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been a hysterectomy, or this scene would have taken place in a hospital, which is why I wondered, part of me, what threw me about that scene was, so I guess if you get your tubes tied, you can just walk home and walk in the door and say, it's done.
Well, here's another thing. Birth control pills. Were those around at that time?
Yeah,
Could she have gone for a prescription?
gotten birth control. I guess.
That's a possibility there.
But to come in and say no babies for us, because it is possible to still
Yeah.
get pregnant. The pill is not 100% effective,
Well, I mean, I would imagine a condom plus the pills. You're kind of making a decision, family planning wise, that's.
Yeah. So,
I
and
think
they
they're
did have
both
condoms.
very valid. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry to belabor this point. This is far longer than I wanted to spend on it. But anyway, they make the choice not to have kids.
Yes.
Absolutely, there is pushback, but it is rational pushback. It really is. And so they decide to do that. And like you say, that's just showing them as adults. They're 20 and 21, I think, years old, but they're making their own decisions, and that's an important thing. Anyway, yeah, so that was that was technically the synopsis section of this podcast. 45 minutes later, because David's doing his thing. So yes, you already started to say general thoughts about it. It is very sweet, and other than the abundant use of the R word and the problematic portrayals of people with mental disabilities by people who are not mentally challenged. That is something that today they would probably not do. But the movie's heart is in the right place, isn't it?
I would argue that's all that matters. I mean, they go to tell the story of and that's it's fiction. I mean, it's a movie. They're doing this to tell the story of this particular person and his pursuits. It's excellently done. It's very much not a film of today, not because of those reasons, but I would say because there's no irony in it. There is no wink to the camera. There's very few jokes. There's very little humor in
You're
this
right.
movie.
They don't.
And that's not in a negative. It's just very earnest and tells a story from A to B. Whereas today there would be jokes galore. There'd be irony. There'd be ways that it would kind of take the piss out of itself, and this does not do that. It's really well done.
Yeah. And I think what makes it work is the drama is not imposed. Like probably one of the more dramatic heightened scenes is when they're allowed to live on their own. He is really struggling with cleaning the floor and is having a bit of a tantrum and throwing things. And the scene like that was as much drama. And then, of course, just the parents disapproving and saying to them, I don't know if you can do that. The mean guy who owns the group home, this experiment of seeing if they can take some of the patients and let them try to transition. And, those are the dramatic moments, but they're not very heightened drama. They're not overly serialized, soap opera-ized.
No.
And I think that's why its heart is very, very pure and in the right place. And with that, we didn't watch it thinking, oh, we are going to so lambast Sean Cassidy and this girl for their performances.
I was really looking forward to. I had said to you, David, if you're going to have me on, I want something either about, I think it was mentally challenged people or AIDS, and just so we could tear into it. And I'm so disappointed. This was a very good movie.
Yeah. And here's the other funny thing. When you played me that Louis C.K. bit and mentioned that movie, I looked it up and I was like, it's on YouTube in its entirety. We could watch it. And then I looked at the cast list, and lo and behold, Julie Ann Haddock has a cameo in it. At which point I went, Justin, we can do this on the podcast.
Yes, we can.
So exciting. Julie Ann Haddock plays a girl that he meets at a dance and is friendly towards him. And of course, he takes that friendliness to mean something a little bit more, like any and all of us have maybe done once or twice or 20 times in our life. And so he writes her a poem, like a love note and a Valentine and a poem. And then, unfortunately, somebody else also writes her a dirty letter. And allegedly, she's 11 years old. Now, at this point, Julie Ann Haddock is like 13 or 14. So that was weird because this is immediately before The Facts of Life. This is April of 79. Facts of Life would premiere in August. So, but anyway, it turns out it was someone else who had done that. But of course, Sean Cassidy gets blamed. And oh, wasn't it a great scene when his mother was bitching out the policeman?
Very cool. Yeah, it was really good, and it went to show what I mean. I believe we do not have these same assumptions about the mentally handicapped today, but it showed what a lot of the just awful assumptions people made about mentally challenged people back then were that they were sex starved, like almost like perverts
Yeah.
and rapists, and they didn't know how to like Lenny in Of Mice and Men, just grabbing that woman and that was
squeezing her till she dies. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because I think in that book, actually, they're leaving town because they're being chased by a mob who assumed that he had molested some girl in a previous town.
Yeah.
So that's a big misconception from way back then, which I didn't even think about until watching this movie.
Yeah. And that's it. And the mother is played by Hope Lang. Hope Lang is, veteran actress from the, classic golden era of Hollywood back in the 50s. And so she knows her shit and bitch can act. And when she is yelling at the cop and she says, that dirty letter is written in script. My son can only print. He can't even do cursive writing. You can see that the handwriting doesn't match. You are just targeting him because of his mental state. That's a completely biased thing you're doing. And she is, yelling shame on you and stuff. And it's a great, great scene. And in general, watching her advocate for her son whenever she is on screen. Now, I did mention that he wrote a Valentine's and a poem to Julie Ann Haddock. He writes several poems throughout the movie, and apparently that was one of the talents that he had. Even though he was called slow, underdeveloped and, didn't reach beyond like a 9 or 10-year-old level of intelligence, or I should say of development, he was artistic and he did show other abilities, including these poems. And I'm assuming these poems, which the beginning title of the movie says, are his. So I assume these were published in the book that the brother wrote, and they lifted them straight out of the book.
Very possibly out of the book. I know they said in the beginning of the movie that, this was, every word was straight out of what this guy wrote.
Yeah, and all the characters' names were not changed to protect the innocent as we're so used to.
Well, none of them were that innocent. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, but that's it. But they're like, all of these people are real people, and it's true. So yeah, I really did enjoy this, and yeah, like I said, the use of the R word and the performances, I don't think, let's put it this way, this film would not be made today.
I think that's a shame, but I think you're correct.
Yeah, but its message is absolutely spot on. So let me do a little bit of nuts and bolts here. I wanted to hold off and not front load the show too terribly. Okay. So this is good. We've already talked about it a bit. So here's the deal. It's available for free on YouTube. There's 2 different versions of it that we found. One of them cuts off that title card at the beginning that states this is based on a true story. The other one just starts right with the visuals. And they're both of the same quality. They're both a very blurry transfer from a very worn 16mm print. But it is perfectly watchable. The movie was directed by Harvey Hart, who was about 50 or 51 years old when he did this, he has 83 credits in a 41-year career. And his directing credits go all the way back to 1949. So this is a dude who was there at the dawn of television. Tons of TV shows, tons of TV movies. It seems because this was that time where you either did television or Hollywood, you didn't do both. He was a television guy, but had a very long and prolific career there. Now, it's written by Joanna Lee. Here's another interesting career. As a writer, she has 41 credits in a 28-year career, including early cartoons, 25 episodes of The Flintstones, plus Top Cat, The Jetsons, Johnny Quest. And then she also wrote 5 episodes of Gilligan's Island, plus episodes of Gidget, Bewitched, My Three Sons, I Dream of Jeannie, Room 222, The Waltons, and even Dynasty, plus many TV movies and after-school specials. So that's a long and varied career. And she did do some acting back in the 50s. 14 credits between 1956 and 61. The most memorable of which is she was Tana in Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space.
She survived that movie.
She survived, yeah. If you think of the 3 aliens, you've got the lead guy played by John Bunny Breckenridge.
Okay.
That was Bill Murray in the movie, the Tim Burton movie about Ed Wood. But Bunny Breckenridge is the one who's in charge, and the other 2 report to him. It's a dude and a woman. The woman is her, Joanna Lee, who wrote this and had this long, crazy writing career. And on top of that, she also has 12 producer credits, including 153 episodes of the soap opera Search for Tomorrow. So bravo, Joanna Lee and Harvey Hart for 2 very impressive careers. And I think we see why in this from the writing and directing standpoint. So now, Robert Myers is the brother. He did write the book. That came out in October of 78. This movie came out in April of 79. That's a very short turnaround. But there was probably also interest in the story because prior to that, he had written a 3-part series for the Washington Post, specifically about the frustrations and anxieties of having a mentally challenged brother and what his parents were faced with on how best to raise him. So that already had gotten some attention. Likely that is what was then reshuffled into the full-length book. This movie has an IMDb page. It doesn't have a Wikipedia page. So there's very little out there.
So little I tried researching. There's so little information on this thing.
Yeah, you and me both. We tried to see if we could find more information about it, about, who spearheaded it and all that stuff, how Sean Cassidy came to be in it, but
Nothing.
Didn't do it. Though I will say,
he's out there, and if you're listening,
and I know he is.
Give us the scoop. How did you get this role?
So one of the reviews on IMDb is giving it 10 out of 10 movies and says, would like to see it. So this is from a user named Tracy and Omar, and it was posted in June of 2021. And it says this: okay, I haven't watched the movie yet. However, I do know Roger and his wife, Virginia. They're my neighbors, and they are the nicest people. Roger stopped by my house yesterday to let me know he and Virginia were celebrating their 44th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's nice. 30 of them happy.
Yeah. So I presume they are still, that was only 3 years ago. And if they were both 20-ish in the 70s, there's no reason they wouldn't still be around. So isn't that lovely that they're...
So what I'm hearing is we need a spin-off podcast where we investigate and try to talk to the people who were really there and get to find out how this movie was made.
Yep. And I know we could call it Roger and Me. Wouldn't that be the best title?
Good God. Yes.
What?
Roger and Me.
What?
I swear that's already been taken.
No, shut up. It's not. So, anyway... let's talk more. You can talk more about the movie, about little specific things, or moments.
Are we gonna go through from the beginning to the? Because that's
We-
that's what I was prepared for.
No.
No.
Actually, I mean, if we do, we're going to be here all night. Let's just kind of, I mean, if you made notes, let's just start.
I made notes sequentially as I watched this film from the beginning to the end.
Well, tell me any response.
Again, going to just how great of a movie this is and how earnest it is. One of the it starts with the brother Roger, doing a voiceover, basically saying just how much his brother has had to fight to get to where he needs to be in life, and he said that while he is disabled, he is smart, funny, and tough, and gives him just some great encouraging words. It blows me away how genuine this movie is.
Well, let's talk more about the brother as the play.
I have issues.
You have issues.
I have issues.
Okay.
I feel like the brother in this movie has some legitimate gripes. Nothing that can be done about them.
Yeah.
But I mean, he has a mentally challenged brother, and the older brother basically feels sort of robbed of attention, robbed of adoration, of he is not called the smart brother. It is the mentally challenged one who is called the smart one because of all the adversity that he is fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the regular guy is on the sidelines. And there's a scene or two with him exploding. But one thing that really bothers me about this movie is he has the opening monologue. He is the narrator of this story. And yet, I would argue for 90% of this film, he's not narrating anything.
No.
It doesn't make sense to me in that way.
Well, at one point, the mother takes over the narration. About a half an hour into it, the next thing that happens, it's the mother, Hope Lang, telling the story. And I remember thinking, oh, let's put a pin in that. Wouldn't this be interesting if then we heard from the dad, and the dad was a little more problematic a character?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it have been interesting to have the social worker, Mr. Stein, talking about it? That would have been a really fascinating choice, to have it be a group of people all narrating. But in fact, it's the brother, the mother steps in for one of them, and then we have no narration at all.
It's very wishy-washy. This is not a perfect movie, but it's
No.
very good, and that's an imperfection I have issue with. And the brother does get a great line. When does it get to be my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. That's awesome. At the teenage level.
Yes.
Well, he's like in college, like he needs to study, and Roger's got some annoying circus music playing, and the mother's like, "Well, deal with it," and he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Deeply distressing that the older brother, is very attractive as a teenager, and his looks die so much. He looks horrific as an adult. And yet, and then he loses again because his brother, the mentally disabled one, becomes very attractive.
He looks a lot like Sean Cassidy.
Oh my
Go
God.
figure.
And that was something that actually in the pool. This movie is a classic case. It's just a gender reversal of, oh, well, take off those glasses and push your hair back. Wow, you're beautiful. That's what this is for the mentally challenged boy. He in the pool is so beautiful. It is distracting, and I can't take it seriously.
I think it's funny. In the pool, you see his face is a slightly different color tone than his body, so it's clear they powdered him.
Absolutely.
But they wet his hair and powdered his face, and then said, "Get in the pool, but don't get your head wet." And again, we have to remember, even a lousy 16mm print was not meant to be viewed on a 55-inch screen TV. So we have to cut it some slack there. But let's talk about Sean Cassidy. At this point, he was at the peak of his career, and some would say at the peak of his teeny bopper sexy status. I mean, he was the Justin Bieber of his time. As the son of Jack Cassidy and Shirley Jones, brother to the wonderful Ryan Cassidy, who was on The Facts of Life. He had two big hits in 1977. He had a hit with "Da Do Run Run," followed by "That's Rock and Roll." And he had just completed his 3rd season on the Hardy Boys' Nancy Drew Mysteries. So he was already in that weird place of being a TV star and playing constantly on the radio. So he was super famous. And good for him for saying, I want to act and take on roles like this. Because by 1980, his 5th album was such a flop. He was kind of already a has-been, when he was just a little bit over 30, like 33 at that time. And he pretty much disappeared in the 80s, but that's when he went and started acting and doing stage work and musical theater. And he kind of didn't really emerge until Blood Brothers on Broadway, which he did with his half-brother, David Cassidy.
Underrated show.
A great show. Blood Brothers is a great
Underrated
show. Yeah. I could do with maybe 20% of the Marilyn Monroe rhymes, but no. That's my only critique. But yeah. So yeah, he is at the peak of his career. This was a big get to have him in a TV movie. And this was also important because, as I said, those other successes were at this point just behind him. So this is an important point of his career to lay the foundation that he is also an actor. Now let's talk about Virginia, the girl who plays his other half, the other mentally challenged girl.
Adorable.
Adorable. Did you do any research on her?
No.
I've got a surprise for you. I did some research after we watched the movie. Linda Pearl is the actress, P-U-R-L. She has 116 credits, a very long career, tons and tons of one-offs on TV shows, but also some multiple series appearances, 23 episodes of Matlock from 86 to 87 as his daughter, as Andy Griffith's daughter, 27 episodes of Happy Days.
Right.
In season 2, she played Richie's girlfriend for 5 episodes, and they liked her so much, they brought her back in season 10 to be a love interest for Fonzie in a different character. This is the woman that was the divorced mother, which was, weird back in those days to have a divorced mother. And the daughter was played by Heather O'Rourke of Poltergeist fame. But I think the credit that will probably surprise you, as it surprised me, is she was on 9 episodes of The Office
Oh, really?
in the role of Helen Beasley, Pam's mother.
Stop. Oh, I gotta rewatch those episodes now.
Exactly. When you
I
think
was gonna
of-
ask, is she still working today? I mean,
Absolutely.
wow, fantastic.
What was the Michael Scott movie? Threat Level Midnight? Is that
Yes,
it?
that is correct.
Remember in Threat Level Midnight, she's the sexy nurse with the cleavage?
He dates her.
Yeah, Michael dates her, and Pam is beside herself. And of course, it's a magnificent storyline. But yeah, that was Linda Pearl. This was, of course, early in her career. And she has short, dark hair here. I can't tell if it's a wig or not, but I'm sure that's to make her look like the actual real-life Virginia. But Linda Pearl, for most of her career, has had longer hair, and it's usually blonde or some lighter form thereof. So she really does not look like herself in this compared to any other photo you find of her in any other role. So, yeah. I'm trying to see if we already mentioned Michael McGuire is the dad, Hope Lang is the mom. What did you think about the parental dynamic here?
The parental dynamic, I enjoyed it very much. I think it seemed to be realistic to me in that his mother was both incredibly frustrated. I mean, at the beginning of this movie, she's on the verge. She's gonna break down because of the stress of having to do and drinking as well.
Yeah.
But she also has genuine love and compassion for her son. I love it. She was not a one-dimensional character, which I think for a lot of performances of this time there are one-dimensional characters, but she showed some depth. There was a lot of contradiction. I liked her quite a bit, and I liked the father as well. I mean, yes, he is definitely more prone to, I would say, the negative aspects of having a mentally challenged son.
The dad was clearly not as driven as the mom. He clearly loved
No.
the son, but he would have been perfectly happy for all of this to be a lot less complicated.
I believe it was discussing, what do we just put him in the custody of the state?
Yeah, make him a ward of the state.
And we can't do that. And the father doesn't say, "You're right, we can't." He goes, "Okay."
Yeah.
And it's
that's what you want, dear.
It's letting the wife take charge as opposed to being partners and dealing with this situation together.
Yeah.
That was, but I mean, I think that's just realistic. I'm sure that there are parents out there who love their children, who are challenging for them, but who are not as strongly willed as this mother was.
Totally. Let's talk about sex. I was very happy that the movie addressed it in a respectful way. Early on in the movie, once we get to Sean Cassidy, you know, his interest in Julianne Haddock, and then later, you know, I want a girlfriend, and you know, he's clearly interested in girls. He's clearly has those drives and impulses.
Unfortunately, he is attracted to women.
Yeah. And one of the waitresses at this restaurant where he's working, oh, talk about a cringe scene.
Whore.
Oh.
She's a whore.
She takes him back to her place and then she comes out in a full-length chiffon pink robe with the marabou around the cuffs and collar. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, nothing sexier than a woman dressed in that, cornering a mentally disabled person on a couch.
Yeah, and he says, I have a girlfriend. She wouldn't like this. And she says, well, neither would my fifth husband. My fifth husband wouldn't. I wouldn't have liked it.
That was the one joke. That was
Yeah.
the one line. I
And
did
I
laugh
forget
at
what the
that.
joke is. I
She
can't
was
say
funny.
it.
I thought, all right, you can fuck her.
But it was
She's
something
funny.
like, well, my fifth husband found himself in the same situation and he didn't mind, or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So yeah, that was like one
That
of the
was
things.
good.
But thank
That was all
goodness.
right.
But thankfully, that didn't last long. He did tell Virginia. Virginia found out because he didn't come home, I guess, till too late, and she waited up for him. And she's upset and she cries, but then it's over. It's not like the whole rest of the movie, can I forgive you for this? But I didn't do anything. I left. And, you know, lesser movies would have made that a much bigger, drawn out
Yeah.
conflict.
Thank God that did not. I was afraid that was going to swipe the whole movie. And
Yeah.
then that was going to be the end action. But no, that was
Yeah.
glad he got out of there. Good guy.
But then after they're engaged, it's she, Virginia, who brings up and says, so now that we're engaged, does that mean we're going to do it? And they decide together as adults that they want to wait until they're married. How dare you yawn? How very dare
I'm
you?
sorry, I was just waiting till marriage. Oh, God. Absolutely not.
Wow, you opened your mouth pretty wide, though, I will say. The nice thing is that they don't downplay the sexuality. In fact, it's nice that they handle it. They touch upon it. They don't go too deep with it, pardon the expression. But again, the title of the movie, Like Normal People. He has normal sexual impulses. You know what I would have liked to have known, though? And I'm sure the book would help with this.
His girth?
His length and girth.
Yeah.
Yeah, cut or uncut.
I don't think he's a chode.
You don't think so?
I don't think it's a chode.
No, I don't think so either. No. But
Long and thin.
here's the but the deal is when the subject of whether they can have children or not comes up, the doctor does say neither of them is congenitally R word
Disabled.
meaning that physically they are capable of having children, as opposed to other forms like
Of having quote unquote normal children, I think is what
Yeah.
you mean. They're capable of having
but
that.
but just capable of conceiving and carrying a child. Like
Yeah.
isn't Down
I'm
syndrome?
pretty sure the fear was, well, if one person who's disabled
Yeah.
has sex with another one who's disabled, they're bringing a disabled child into the world. I think that was
Right.
the concern. But they were
Exactly.
saying that they weren't. It wasn't hereditary. It wasn't part of.
Right. We know from
makeup.
her, because she has a limp.
Yeah.
He does ask her, why does she limp? And we find out from her she had an accident.
Yes.
So that's
Very
why,
young.
very young, she had an accident. That's why she is, again, they use the R word so much, and it's a scientific word. If you have a plant and you take the light away from it, it can't photosynthesize, and therefore it retards its growth. It's like, So I'm struggling not to use the word in a clinical sense. But so we know what her situation is. We don't know what his situation is. He was always like this. They show him as a baby.
Yeah.
And this will relate to the facts of life. Early scenes have his grandmother interacting with him and making faces, and the baby not reacting. And that's something Charlotte Rae wrote about her son, who was severely autistic, and also I think had schizophrenia too. Her son was severely mentally challenged, and Charlotte Rae spent a good chunk of her life kind of doing what these parents are doing, trying to find help for him and a way to not just sign him away and institutionalize him.
That's why she looked that way.
But that's it. That's why she could
Try
only
doing your hair with a life like that.
tie up her hair in a balloon knot. And at one point, Hope Lang had the same hair, by the way. But anyway, so that is one thing that Charlotte Rae talked about too, is that as a baby, Andy was unresponsive. And that immediately made me think of her and her talking about it and the question of, is something wrong? And the grandmother says, are you having him checked out? And the mother saying, he's fine. He's just a baby. It's going to be okay. And I really, again, felt the realism of that.
I mean, to be fair, looking at her face, if I was that baby, I wouldn't give her any attention either.
that was like, yeah. But the baby at least would have started crying out of fear, because she was kind of...
Her face was so meh, she earned nothing. No recognition necessary.
She was ghoulish, yeah. You had made a comment about his jobs.
Yes, I really wanted to mention this because I noticed it initially. He has two jobs of note in this movie. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, he works in sort of like a laundromat kind of thing at the YMCA.
Yep.
And then his second job is working in the restaurant that the whore works at.
Yeah, that's a busboy. Yes.
As a busboy. Yeah. So when he's hired for the first job, it's an African American man who notices him and says, "Hey, why don't you, I could use a little bit of help around here. I can pay you a little bit if you're willing to help me." And so he gets his first job that way. His second job, also, when he applies for his second job at the whore restaurant, he goes to he's doing this in order to get money for a wedding ring for his lady, but he goes in to apply, and the manager here is also another black man, and so I wrote this down before they said anything in the movie. I said, I know where this is gonna go, and it's so smart. But basically, at some point later in the movie, he's being interviewed on TV as sort of like an awareness sort of, what would you call that?
A documentary or like a human interest story.
Yeah, a human interest story for the news.
Yeah.
And the reporter asks his employer, what did he have any sort of reticence in hiring him in the beginning? And his boss said, well, I have dealt with discrimination of my own in my life. And I saw that he would be going through the same thing. So that's why he took a chance on him. I thought that was such a great moment.
Super duper smart. And when the shit was going down with the cops approaching him about the alleged dirty letter that was written to Julianne Haddock, he does it in front of everybody at the Y, shouting at him over a counter. And it is the African-American guy who hired him who says, why don't we go someplace and you can talk in private? And before he even finds him, he says, what do you want him for? That kid is so innocent. He wouldn't do anything wrong or hurt anyone. So he was already advocating for him too. So yeah, those are two small but extremely important subliminal or not so subliminal messages that they're putting out there. So yes, I'm totally on board with you there. What else do we want to talk about?
They're a very cute couple.
They're adorable. And when they were first kissing, and then of course the bitchy cunt at the clinic at the this was the group home before they moved into the sort of transitional apartments, who came in and was like, you can't be doing that, you can't be kissing. They're like, why? Because because I said so.
I have one thing I need to address.
Please.
This was a big. There were two small things about just realism in the movie that bothered me. Mm-hmm. These are small, but they bothered me. They moved to L.A. They moved to Los Angeles, and when they are taking him to his sort of
The first tour of the group home.
The first tour of the group home.
Yeah.
They're outside in clearly just like whatever clothes, like summer clothes. Mm-hmm. And the mother is breathing, and we can see her breath. It's clearly cold out, like really cold out. They're in L.A. in summer clothes. I don't like that. And also, my second point, the whore. When the whore takes him to her place, how can she afford that place that she is living in as a waitress at the whore restaurant?
Yeah. It's actually called Love's.
It is called Love's.
And when he goes there, initially I'm thinking, is this a sex shop? That was my first thought.
My first thought was sex shop, and then I thought Love Motel. I thought maybe he was scoping it out to take her there to do the deed.
You see, then when I saw that it was restaurant, I thought, oh, is this a titty bar? Like, is this little scene like going to be him going into a place not knowing and not understanding what kind of a place it is? But
no, just a weird restaurant called Love's.
Love's in L.A. And what did I say to you? After the lady, there's a nice older lady who helps him fill out his application.
Yes.
And she's like, well, if you're going to work here, you're going to be my busboy. Can you cut it? And he's like, yes, I can. And then later, this other, like you say, the whore takes her back, and she's like, again, hey, why don't you come on over? Just have one drink and one dance. And I turned to you and I said, are we in LA or Alabama? What the fuck just happened?
Yeah, it's it's not quite accurate.
Yeah. I mean, it's a stereotype. It's like I'm playing a trashy waitress anywhere in the country. You just kind of want to go there and start talking like this. But I will agree with you.
Trashy waitresses, if you're out there, please call in and confirm.
Yeah, please call right now, 1-900-ADHD. So,
Adhuda.
Yeah. So you were talking before, the only other thing I can think of that I wanted to say was you were talking before about a spectrum, and that's not even accurate.
Because it's a spectrum.
It's not one thing.
That implies a linear path of there's one end and another, and I don't believe that's accurate because under mental disabilities, I mean there's so many different conditions and things. I would think it's like an ink blot. There's so many different places you can go.
Yeah, a spectrum
to
I think
diagnose. I think that's
wrong.
the wrong way to go about it.
I agree with you because is it Down syndrome? That's the mutation in the chromosomes?
Oh, I'm not gonna know the answer to that.
Yeah, but I think so. Yeah, Down syndrome is a genetic disorder caused when abnormal cell division results in an extra full or partial copy of chromosome 21. This extra genetic material causes the developmental changes and physical features of Down syndrome. Yeah, and as I'm quickly looking up other stuff here, it looks like men with Down syndrome are considered infertile. But they still haven't quite figured out what the causes are in detail yet. So, yeah, similarly, that's why, the blanket statement of these people with the R word shouldn't have children. It's like, well, some of them can't.
That's a big catch-all for
Yeah.
dozens and dozens of different conditions and
Just other, at one point when he's at a young kid at a summer camp, one of the young camp counselors, young Rhea Perlman.
That's right.
Little itty bitty cameo. And her. And
she was itty bitty then as well.
She was tiny then, and she was probably 20 years old, but still looked like she was 55, as she has her entire career.
Good for her.
Yeah, going through my notes, I only have one other thing. Is what this did make me think of was, did you ever watch Life Goes On, the TV show in the 90s?
I didn't. No, I know of it, but I never watched.
Starring the wonderful Patti LuPone as the mother. But that was a groundbreaking TV show because the oldest son, had Down syndrome and was played by an actor with Down syndrome. Chris Burke was his name. And in the arc of the show, he meets another girl also with Down syndrome, and they want to get together and get married, and they struggle. It's a big struggle. And there's one point when he's like, well, now I have to go and find a ring to propose to her, at which point Patti LuPone kind of conks herself in the head and goes into her room and says, Corky, this is my mother's or my grandmother's ring, and I've been saving it for my oldest child to propose to. That's you. And it's basically her saying, it never occurred to me that you would ever be able to do this.
Yeah.
And it's so beautifully done. The Life Goes On handled it beautifully. And then they even went farther with adding Chad Lowe into the cast. And Chad Lowe was a young guy that the youngest daughter was dating, and he was HIV positive. And that was a big deal. And then this is like 91, 92.
Yeah,
This
death
is
sentence.
early.
Horrific, yeah.
Yeah, early still on in terms of television addressing HIV, let alone realistically portraying
Before designing women.
mental disability. Oh my goodness. So the last thing I did want to point out was, and it did surprise me, did you notice or did your brain have any reaction to the point when the two of them are talking and he says, do they call you the R word?
Yes.
And she says, yes. And he says, they call me that too. I don't like it. And she says, I don't like it either. That surprised me because the word was in such common use without all the baggage the word comes with today. Like I was saying, it was more of a clinical catch-all term.
If I had to guess, I would say it's because it limited them. And these are two characters who very clearly did not respect limits and pushed the boundaries and got farther and farther in life than anyone ever would have expected them to. And so to call them that would put them sort of just in the wash with all the others who were not necessarily going to live the lives that they did.
Yeah, and it's labeling them as an other when they want to be not other. They want to do what everyone else does. All right, so, Talkaholic Chips is how we rate our movies and shows here on TV Talkaholics, Justin.
Talkaholic Chips.
Chips.
Okay.
Because, when you
These
go
are
to...
Ruffles. This movie is ruffled.
No, I'm sorry. Let me clarify. Because we're doing a wordplay on Talkaholics, like it's like a 12-step program.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
When you're in a 12-step program.
Yes, I do. All right.
You get chips. Well, I'm sure you know about all that.
Of course, I have several.
That's not.
I bring them to the casino, and yeah.
No. So that's why we use Talkaholic Chips, because a worldwide program that helps millions and millions of people overcome their addictions. That's something we should be making light of, don't you think? That's appropriate.
Of
Sure.
course.
So
They're not listening.
how many Talkaholic Chips? I give this. Again, the R word and the performances are still the thing that would maybe turn some people off to this movie. I'm going to give it a good solid 4 for everything else, for how you can overlook everything else going on here. I believe you can look past those and see the importance of the story. How do you rate it, Justin?
What's
Schneier?
the max of chips?
5.
5. I would give it a 5. You and I have very, very different views on the word and the performances. I don't find them to be obstacles myself, and I think it's silly to allow them to be obstacles to see a movie that I think really takes this issue and is so genuine and so hopeful, and I think is a message that everyone should really take in. I'm really disappointed in this podcast because I was hoping. I don't have much to say that's mean or silly. I think it's well done. I think it holds up enormously well now. And show me anything today that comes anywhere close to shedding light on people like this.
Yeah.
Show me. There's nothing. 3 sour cream and onions and 2 jalapeno cheddars. All the chips right
All the
there,
chips
number 5.
For it. Well, that is it. Well, listeners, dear darling people still tuning in, we are going to be back next month in the month of June with yet another show or TV movie. And hopefully Matthew will be back from vacation. Yeah, we have some fun things already in the works, and let me tell you, I'm very excited for the shows coming up. So keep on listening. Thank you so much, and thank you to the supporters of the show, the sponsors on Patreon. If you want to join them, you know where to find it, and check out all the other fun stuff I'm going to put in the show notes. Until then, thank you, Justin Schneier. Smooches and goodbye.
Thank you, David. Hugs and cowabunga.
We'll make you happy.
Come and knock on our door.
Come and knock on our door.
Where we're moving on now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Schlemiel.
That uncompromising, enterprising, anything but tranquilizing.
Here's the story.
You take